Yo, what is up, man? We are back. Let's try this again. Look, I just did it, and let's see, had to run it back. But yeah, it wasn't working. It wasn't working. Like I couldn't hear myself. The what I did was I'm doing it on my laptop this time, and it did pull to my webcam audio, which is trash. So. Brand Talk Live, episode 2. We are back. Excuse the technical difficulties, but yeah, part 2, man. I want to first apologize. When I did this a few weeks ago, I plan to do it every week, and then with everything going on in the world, I just felt like it was a time to step back, right? Even for myself, reflect. Be respectful of what was going on. Trying to understand what my role is as far as what's going on in the world as based upon my skill sets, my talents. I feel like everyone's role is going to be a little bit different, right? So with my level of access, what should I be doing and how do I maintain that responsibility? So did that, postponed it, but I'm back here now on Juneteenth. So it is like the perfect time, right? So Brand Talk Live, episode 2. I'm your host, Brandon Gaston. All things branding, all things business. Which is super exciting for me because I've done, other things, other videos. Really, this really gets into it. And I feel like right now, this episode, controlling the narrative, especially we talk about from a social media perspective, is so important, right? It was already like shifting that way. Let's be honest. Like the business world was shifting to, if you didn't have an online presence, if you didn't have a social currency, that your business was starting to be impacted. But that was pre-COVID. Post-COVID, I feel like that just sped it up even more. Like now, like we know, like you need to be online, you need to be seen, be heard, be known, have a level of influence within your industry, within the area that you're in. And so I feel like understanding your narrative, controlling your narrative, and putting out the storyline behind your brand is of the utmost importance, especially now and even going forward. I just posted the other day, like, the bigger the brand, the bigger the business. Going forward, I feel like no brand, no business, right? So it's important for everyone that plans on being in business, that plans on being an entrepreneur, for those people that, are launching a new business because of COVID and now their side hustle is their main hustle, or leaning into their business even more, or really just trying to get used to what is this new normal? Like, how is business going to look like going forward? And how do I capitalize on having exposure, via social media, via digital advertising, et cetera, et cetera. So, understanding what you put out matters, understanding that everything you put out matters. Everything you put out is telling the world, your prospective clients, and it is a library of content of what you stand for, what you're about, what your brand resonates with, who your brand should resonate with, and so, just being intentional. When it comes to social media branding, it's actually, I compare it to wardrobe branding, because it's all about intentionality, right? It's all about understanding what you're trying to put out, how you want to be received, what is the language that you're telling about yourself. And it's just really putting that together, an outfit, if you will, to create that narrative. We're talking about social media marketing and content. It's the same thing. It's like, what are you putting out? What are you sharing? What does it look like? What is the tonality of what you're saying? What is that putting out about your brand, about your personal brand, about who you want to work with? And I feel like, whenever I work with clients, we go through this process, this exercise of really figuring out who their target demographic is, right? Because a lot of times you feel like you can be everything to everybody, but it doesn't really work like that when you're thinking about with business. And so we get very clear on who their target audience is and create different demographics and different audiences and different clients. But I feel like when you're starting out, or if you don't know who your target audience is, I feel like just being yourself and putting yourself out there, and your tribe will be attracted to you. So again, when you think about creating your narrative, being intentional, I feel like there's really 3 key steps to understanding how do you create that and do it proactively. Step 1 is having clarity. It always starts with you. Who are you? What do you stand for? And I'll dig into more of each of these later. But clarity, being intentional again. And when I say intentionally, like, what does that look like? So once you determine who you are as a brand, so we're talking about from a digital space, what is the look and feel? What is the sound? What is the tone of that? And then lastly, execution. Like, how are you going to disseminate your message? So again, clarity. Who are you? What are you about? What does your brand stand for? How are you unique? I always say, like, you are the secret sauce, right? Everything that is unique about you, that's what you need to amplify. That's what you need to put out. But you need to be, clear and coherent of what are you trying to put out. So What is your personal brand? What is your business brand, right? What is the look and feel of it? When I used to dress clients, I have them come with adjectives to describe their looks, because when you think of something that looks sexy as opposed to something that looks cute, that's a totally different vision, right? You know what something sexy is. You get, oh, like even for a guy or a gal, like you know what that is. Cute, a little bit different, more relaxed, more comfortable. You might think of comfort, right? So when you think of your brand and adjectives, like what is it? What are you standing for? What is the tonality of it? I know when I created my brand, I went through the typical branding format. You go through all these different things. And I really started to look at the different brands that resonated with me. But what you'll realize is even within a specific customer segment, or something that's considered high end or luxury versus something that's considered more democratic price points, there are a lot of different attributes and a lot of different characteristics of those different brands. And so what one resonates with you, right? And so I used to dig into that, and I used to look at the vernacular that they were using. And so I got like a library or an assortment of words that they were using in terms that would communicate that effectively. But yeah, so just understanding, like I said, who you are, what does that mean? What is that verbiage behind it? And then again, being intentional. Like once you realize, okay, I stand for this, this is my legacy, this is my purpose, this is what I'm passionate about. How do I have that show up online? Like, how do I communicate that? What are the words, like I said, what are the words I'm using? If I'm putting up photos and pictures, what do those photos look like? If I'm putting up text, what are the backgrounds? Like, what are the colors? So like everything is, even online, you know, it's still a visual marketplace, right? So even with wardrobe, you see the outfit first. It's the first thing you see. Online, even if you're using text overlay as the background, you're still seeing, you know, the font size, the type of font you're using, the typeface. You're still seeing the coloring, right? So the visual is of the utmost importance. And so when you're communicating, you know, what you're about, you need to realize, like, what does that look like in a digital space? How does it look? And then lastly, like, how do you execute that? So I always say, you know, work in your talents. You know what I mean? Don't try to do something you don't want to do. Like for me, I was lucky the fact that I started on television. And so now I'm pretty comfortable in front of camera. Usually, you know what I mean? I still get those, you know, every once in a while, but for the most part, I'm pretty comfortable on camera. But the amount of content that you need to actually punch through and make an impact, because there's so much noise in the marketplace, and because there's so many things that are begging for our attention, we're inundated with things all the time. You really need to really need to produce a lot of content. In order to produce a lot of content, you need to do whatever you're good at. And honestly, whatever you're good at is going to resonate the most. So if you are good on video, do video. If you are a good writer, write. If you have a great voice, do audio. Like there's no one way to skin a cat, right? So there's multiple ways you can do it. And even if you've been paying attention, if you're on Instagram right now, you've been paying attention, you see a lot of different posts that are resonating, that are taken off, and they're literally just a text overlay with words. And everyone thinks about Instagram like it needs to be pretty pictures, it needs to be landscape, we need to edit and all this other stuff. Like no, like if the content is timely, if the content is on point, it's going to resonate. You can make it any way. And that's the other thing. When you're creating content, I think what you want to maintain and what you're about is understand why people are coming to the platform, but understand that the likelihood, without doing advertisements, right? That's a little bit different. But the likelihood of someone wanting what you're selling at that particular moment, that's in the marketplace to buy, that can afford it, is slim and none, right? You can't dictate when somebody's making a purchase decision. What you want to do is inform. You want to become a resource. You want to become a trusted ally. You want to become someone that they look to for the information. You want to answer their questions before they ask it. So you want to either provide, you know, entertainment if you're funny or whatever, if that's something you do, or you want to provide education, right? You want to become the resource so that when someone is really ready to buy a house, when someone is ready to buy a car, when someone is ready to go on that trip, when someone does need to go shopping, you are who they think about, because they've been coming to you for advice that they were looking for before, you know, for the last 6 to 8 months, and now they're ready to make a decision. So I think it's really important to understand, you know what I mean, that you're actually there of service and you're trying to help people out. But yeah, man, your narrative is so important. Again, it's the first method of communication, we're talking about a digital format. It's really, telling your narrative, telling your story, what your brand is. It's like they're going to believe what you say. They're going to believe what you show. And so more and more, your online social currency is going to become even more important. So, yeah, man, I'm excited. Brand Talk Live. Again, this is part 2. Again, I want to do it weekly, kind of build up that muscle, get used to this. Even me doing, Style Speaks is a little bit different because that's a conversation with another person, and so I have questions. And then this is a little bit different. So I definitely want to include a Q&A going forward. Talk about some of the stuff that you guys are interested in as people that are trying to build their brand, streamline their brand, make their brand more effective, communicate it more. So yeah, I'm excited. I want to do it more and more formats. I have my ring light now, so the glow is real. And I think I'm going to start doing on Instagram Live at the same time. But yeah, this is about branding. I love it. I love to talk about it. I love about controlling your narrative. That's for me is why I dress up, because I was like, I want to dress up. I want to put out a message that is the narrative that I want people to read and react to. And that's what we're doing with our social media brands. So if you have questions, let me know. Happy Juneteenth. Happy Father's Day. Celebrate all the fathers, all the mothers that play their father's role. Happy Juneteenth. If you go to my website, I'm doing 25% off site-wide through Sunday evening. So anything, you don't even need a code. You just go in there, figure out what you want, because I now have webinars, I have one-on-one coaching, I have corporate corporate editions. So yeah, man, we're navigating this new normal for sure. But yeah, until next week, stay blessed, enjoy. I think we got some sun this weekend. I'm in the P. Check y'all later. Peace.